the bad guy. I liked Flores. I didn't like Greer. I thought that this offensive line was going to determine how the season played out. I said Tua was going to be pretty good this season. So I have a tendency to maybe not say what everybody else is saying, or the majority. I'm sure there's other people out there. And I'm not always right. I'm not saying that. But I don't do this to pay homage to any fan or viewer of this channel or the positivity movement or any player or even to try to get views. I want to have a good conscience. So I say what I think. Sometimes I'm wrong. But I think this season, a little bit like last season, I was pretty dead on. And it's not because I am all world. It's just basic, simple, 101 concepts. I said I want to see with all this leverage that Hill and Waz going to create, can it basically override a tried and true concept of trench play dominates and is where consistency comes from. And some part of the season, I thought it might because we were adding a run game. It was the Browns game. But we moved away from the run game and the offensive line broke down. And it came back to the truism that trench play sets the table. The NFL world goes around based on the play of the offensive line. You don't need a top 5 or even top 10, but you need quality around 15 to 10 and depth of 15 to 10 to survive the rough season, to set the consistency table, to make hay and to have success into the postseason. And we don't have that. Now, we get it in the offseason. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying going to the postseason is a bad thing. I'm happy we're going to the postseason. But there's two ways to evaluate. There's the now, there's the short term, there's the midterm and the long term. And it's a fact. We won't go where we want to go until we get ourselves at least an average offensive line in both starting talent and depth. So I'm going to dig in here into the realistic side of things, not the hype. I'm going to get into all pump up hype after this because there's some good tape from the last game that I want to put out. And there's truly encouraging signs in a lot of areas. But the one area that I'm going to stick to like a pit bull is the insertion of Liam Eichenberg, which makes no sense. 0 sense. And it's going to continue. I've done this like 2 parts before this and minor parts leading up until now. This will be part 3 of the part 2 I did before. And it's so more mysterious because, okay, you're putting Eichenberg in, yada, yada, yada. He goes down for a bad knee. You bring Jones in, and then somehow he recovers enough to come back in, and you take Jones out, and you put Eichenberg back in. And then Shell goes down, and then you get to look at both Eichenberg and Jones at the guard positions at the same time. And clearly, what was so obvious was clearly obvious. And that is, there's no way in hell Liam Eichenberg should be starting, much less starting over Robert Jones. And it's not that Robert Jones is Larry Allen 2.0. But when you see the film here, again, I'm going to do Eichenberg all the way up to when he gets hurt, the insertion of Jones at left guard, and then when you get to see both of them at the same time. And it's just so obvious. It makes no sense that you're in this absolutely critical game and you have Eichenberg there. It boggles the mind, guys. So I'm going to get into all that, not to say we're doomed, but to just try to give you a reality. If this team next year somehow finds its way to add some offensive line depth and starting offensive line talent, even around 15th, with the same group they have, they will be monstrous. It's not as easy as it sounds, though. We've been trying to do that for quite some time. I'll get into that another day. But I want to thank you for stopping by. I'm not a bad guy. I'm just trying to give you honest and fair coverage without trying to grease you and try to, make money by getting as many views and stuff. I want to give you good and fair and honest coverage. And that's what I'm trying to do here. So thank you for stopping by for everything, guys. I want to give a shout out to Eichenberg, my sponsor as well, because without you, without them, this show ain't going down. Eichenberg's betting software is the premier white label platform for bookies to manage their players and grow their sportsbook operation. Click the link in the description below to get set up in minutes. Ask for the Curtis promo and get a special introductory discount. So I'm not going to speak much more. Without further ado, here's the film. Let's take a look at it and see what we see. All right, let's start with Mr. Eichenberg, left guard, number 74. He gets the double over here and doesn't look so pretty. Let's take a closer look. Comes inside, decent angle sort of on leverage, but he just doesn't have the juice, even with the double. Totally stood up, no momentum. Then tossed to the side. And now he's been tossed aside, and the linebacker is going to loop around and get in on a play with, I believe it's Mostert over there. So you got the sandwich, the front and the back. Instead of one guy, he's got two guys to break the tackle. And that started with bad double. Again, you get another double inside here, and he's totally stood up. No momentum, no movement. Two guys, Little and Eichenberg, and you get nada. And then Little gets tossed aside, and that just shuts the play down. Really terrible. With the double, you're supposed to get some action. So, again, Eichenberg inside, and this is one-on-one Bears protection and one-on-one what not to do. Just throws two hands up, leans forward, and gets the one-handed swipe. I mean, that is terrible. Look at this. Look at that. That's your starting guard who you put in the most critical game of the year. And they'll rip at the end, and it's a finito. They come back. You're on the goal line. Eichenberg again with the double and really don't get anything going. It doesn't go to his side. It's on the opposite side, but nothing. Just 2-on-1 and nada. Then you come back inside again with the double. Let's take a close look at that. And this is not his fault. So when he gets the face mask and pulled down, but still, it's not pretty. Again, you get the pull, and his job is to block backside. But watch what happens here. There's just no resistance. Tossed away like a dirty diaper. And then Skyler takes a nasty hit. And look at it, just thrown away. And then Skyler, he comes out of this game banged up, and you got to wonder why. Again, Eichenberg, this is not his fault totally, but he makes a lot of mistakes. So he gets up here, and first he gets his hands on the outside of the shoulder pads. He's got a wide stance, which doesn't give him control. But then he tries to hold him and follow him, and there's no way you're going to make a block on a guy's back. You got to hold your position, be patient. He could have been there for the backside. So now he's chip and go and just tossed to the side by the linebacker, which is terrible. Another one inside here. This was actually his best play of the day. It starts out ugly. Let's take a look at it. So he comes inside, but he sets too far inside. He's got help. He doesn't have to set that far inside. And now he's off balance, manages to come back, puts his hands too high, because when you get that high, you can't get the pop. But he does a nice job resetting. This against Williams is tough. And he digs down, bows the back, resets, and does a nice comeback from a bad start. That was his best play on the day. So again, he's here, and this one is a chip and go, and it's disaster. Now, he doesn't get on a tackle, but still, look at this. So he sees Williams in there. He wants a chip, okay, but now he eyes 56, the linebacker, so there's no way he doesn't recognize. So now it's just him to mirror, and he just overshoots, and that is an ugly, ugly job on what's supposed to be his strength. So now you get pass protection again, and he comes back too far inside. He gets shuttered. He gets totally stood up, and this doesn't affect the play, but watch him get totally dissembled. That's not a good job. Again, inside with the double, goes nowhere. A little face mask again. There's a little face mask, but thrown on the ground again. And then you'll see plenty of times without the face mask, he gets thrown on the ground. Again, inside, one-on-one, and just stood up. Look at this. Totally stood up, pulled and thrown. it's like a child out there. It's not a man versus man. It's man versus child. Get inside. He does the pull and watch him get destroyed. And he gets pushed back into the runner. This is ugly. Bang. Totally dead stopped. And then driven back into the running back. That's multiple ugly plays so far. So now you got Jones, and this is one of the problems with Jones. I don't understand why McDaniel, doesn't put him in it because he has a little trouble getting to that second level. So then you come back over here and bites a little too hard inside, but he's got the length and the strength to just ride Williams and drive him off. He doesn't crumble. That was a good job. Again here, Eichenberg, he gets his hands on the outside, doesn't get any pop. And he just gets driven back inside again with a double, totally stood up and tossed to the ground. That is ugly. Again here, just can't seem to get to the second level. He gets the hold. There's going to be like 3 players going to do on the same play. And that was Eichenberg. This is Jones. He chips and goes. He gets the hold at the end, but that's because Hunt at tackle makes a mistake. So Hunt over here, this is why I really don't like him at tackle. He overshoots and he doesn't have the agility, and that's why Jones has to hold at the end. That play should have been blown dead, but it wasn't. So you can see it here. Eichenberg just can't get to the second level, even on a smaller guy. Jones does a good job, but holds at the end because Hunt just doesn't have the agility to get that inside move. Now, Eichenberg, again, just blown up, and the play is going to get blamed on Jones, but watch. You see right here, Jones and Connor expect to double to the right, and it's going to be Eichenberg one-on-one. Jones sees the hand or feels the hand, so he thinks he's got inside help. So he lines him up. But Connor sees Eichenberg getting driven too far back, so he's got to help. Now Jones thinks he's got the help, and he's going to help Hunt, who's getting beat. So he goes over there, and then you get the inside pressure. But it all starts with Eichenberg drawing the help that should have been with Jones. Back again, you can see over here, Jones on his own to the left, one-on-one. This is him holding the point of attack on the move. And you see a little bit of hold there, whatever, but he's got the strength and he lets go. And this keeps Thompson from getting a beat down. That was a nice job. Get inside here, see the pass protection, and you see Eichenberg get knocked over, bowled over right here. Another pull. These are going to be back-to-back plays, and watch Eichenberg just destroyed inside. And now you're going to see the flip side of Jones on his pull. Coming down the line of scrimmage. A little slow-footed, no doubt. But watch. He gets there. Smaller guy linebacker, but he's the reason that play kicks off. And it's just the difference between the two guys. Either I've taken heavy dosage of crazy pills and I'm not seeing reality, or B, somebody has taken loads of crazy pills and has decided to put Liam Eichenberg in because they think that gives them the best chance for success. Now, I want to hear from you in the comments. Did I take a heavy dose of crazy pills, or is something very wacky going on in the background? Because if this is the honest assessment of O.C. Smith and H.C. McDaniel, then we are doomed. And if it's not them, and it's Chris Grier forcing them in because of the second, third round pick value, then we are doomed until he gets pulled or told to stay out. It really comes down to that. You cannot win because, guys, if the honest evaluation is Eichenberg is the man, you're going to see Eichenberg starting again next year. You'll see Jackson starting again next year, and you won't see any competition brought in because if my grandma, she was still alive, she come in, she might give both those guys a run for the money. So you can't bring anybody of any kind of note because they will lose the starting job. So that means we'll go in with Tehran and the injury issues, Eichenberg starting because he's figuring it out, and then you'll come back with Connor, Hunt, and then you'll have Jackson on the other side and probably Little again and maybe one or two guys. That is not going to cut it, ladies and gentlemen. So there you have it. That's my 2 cents. That's the long-term concern prostagnation. I personally think if you get rid of Greer and Ross somehow can find a real football guy who he'll put in writing, I won't interfere, and that guy comes in and he really knows the game, he can set the scouts that he likes, get rid of the ones that suck, because there's a lot of them that suck. He can determine whether it's McDaniel and two and whatever else. You don't have to gut the whole thing if you change GMs. Just go look at Vrabel with the Titans. But the key here is not having brass trying to interject players because of their draft capital and then overriding coaches who see from a football decision, we have to do this, but it's not happy to the resume of other people. Or if Chris Greer's not involved, we got to get people who are sane and can evaluate the offensive line. So that's where we're at, guys. That'll be my last tough podcast. Then I'm going to go happy and not fake happy. There's a lot of cool stuff, happy stuff, aside from the injuries that I'll be getting to you soon. So anyway, thanks for stopping by. Curtis saying, catch you next time. Be well. Go Fins. Start building your own online sports book today by getting signed up with aceperhead.com service that'll allow you to book action on sports from all around the world.